Good evening. Welcome to Public Forum. I'm Natasha Jhabhaskar. With less than 2 months to go for the US presidential election, most opinion polls suggest that Barack Obama is a clear favorite to beat Republican challenger Mitt Romney. A Gallup poll last Thursday gave Obama 50% of the popular vote against Romney's 44%. The US president is not chosen by popular vote. The country has an electoral college system, with each state having votes in an electoral college in proportion to its population. In this US election, voters are consistently telling pollsters that the issue they really care about is the economy. The worldwide economic crisis of 2008 started in the US, and the aftershocks are still being felt today. Unemployment is running at more than 8%, productivity is down, and the national debt is whopping $15 trillion. Despite this, Barack Obama, the US president, has pushed through healthcare reform and turned around the failing auto industry. He has stopped the war in Iraq and killed Osama bin Laden. But is this enough to win re-election for a second term? This is what we are raising in today's edition of Public Forum. And with me is the Dean of Jindal School of International Affairs, Sreeram Chaulia. Thanks very much, Mr. Chaulia, for joining us in this program. And getting straight into the discussion now. This is one issue which we'll also raise, because he's getting a very good support from the Indian American community there, and also he has fielded many candidates of PIOs, who are supporting him in his campaigning. But that's one issue. But at this stage, if we compare these two candidates, how are you rating them?
Well, Romney has this so-called likability problem, and it's clear that he is a representative of the same private equity firm and investment banking community that is much reviled because they were the root causes of the crash in Wall Street in 2008. So Romney actually is the worst possible candidate the Republican Party could have brought at this time in history, when the word fat cat banker is, a curse. So Obama, on the other hand, clearly is identified with the bulk of the middle classes. So, there are some opinion polls saying that it's narrowing down, but essentially, it's, I think, a no-brainer that Obama is going to win. It will not be a landslide like last time, and hope will obviously be diluted because of incumbency. And he has also failed, for example, in collaring the big banks and in strengthening financial regulation. It has not been a very successful endeavor. But at the end of the day, I think for social cohesion, depressions are closely related with the rise of bigotry and racism and fundamentalism and warlike behavior. I think Obama is the only way America can focus on its domestic problems and create, this united people, which has never happened in the past. And, for various reasons, I think Obama is good for American society. Whether he's good for the world or not, that's a different question. But for American society, it needs to heal. Not only economic depression, but racism and religious fundamentalism and all these problems, the gun problems. So I think Obama is, I would say, necessary at this juncture.
But in the past, we have seen while campaigning these social issues, gay marriages, abortions, these social issues have always acquired a very center stage. But this time, economy is overshadowing all the important social issues. Do you feel that?
Now, the Republicans have tried to make some of these so-called wedge issues and bring them back. Especially abortion and gay rights. But I think, if you look at demographic change, I think in general, the majority of Americans, the younger generation especially, are moving towards a more liberal interpretation of these questions rather than the social conservative one. And the Republicans, as are also trying to balance this contradiction between social conservatism on the one hand and a kind of economic liberalism that promises individual freedom. So in fact, Paul Ryan, who is the Republican vice presidential candidate, says that he is a follower of Ayn Rand. And Ayn Rand's philosophy, if you actually, you bring it out of the box, you will find that she was atheist. Right. While the Republicans have to show that they are staunch Christian on the right.
Now the opinion polls say that it is a very narrow, it's neck on neck, if we see Romney versus Obama, but issues like economy and also healthcare. Now, what is also being said that Obama, the healthcare policy is his single biggest legislative achievement so far. So will that give him an upper hand in comparison to Romney?
I think so. Historically, as America has deprived its underclass from quality health care. And the overhaul probably did not go as far as would have benefited the least privileged, because see, the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies determine the cost of healthcare primarily. And Obama is not yet, in fact, I don't think he ever will be so powerful to be able to break these cartels, to make it more accessible. But certainly state provision, greater state involvement, this whole thing that Romney is attacking is at the core of the question of what role government should play and what kind of Americans are we? It's about identity question. Because what Romney is saying is that there are these makers and the producers, and then there are the moochers and the ones who are, freeloading. So it's obviously an insult to the poor, but if you look at it another way, Romney is going back to the old so-called, the American dream, where you have to work through your own, abilities rather than depending on government. But in times of depression, I mean, from Keynes onwards, we know that the state is the fallback. And Obama is saying, I'm the state. And, at the end of the day, austerity compared to what has happened in Europe has been far lesser in America.
And time and again, Romney is also saying that he has created this dependency notion. Obama has created this.
The right has always said that. Because, see, the caricature of welfare is that basically the minorities, the black people, the Latinos, they're always on welfare. And, the hardworking white people, the white working class, middle class, and the rich, they're the ones who are supporting this, underbelly. And so that's the, the ugly side of what Romney is basically saying. And this division of society, unfortunately, along class lines, is very polarized. And that's why I said at the beginning, you need Obama to create some kind of cross-class and cross-racial harmony. Otherwise, America in depression usually manifests itself in a very, very, dangerous fashion.
Professor Chaulia, now, what is also being said that, apart from other states, there are 9 battleground states which will be largely deciding the fate of these two candidates. How important are these 9 states? Well,
we just saw Ohio just last week. They've announced that the Americans are filing a case against the Chinese for auto parts subsidies, and it's clearly aimed at the Ohio voter base. There's a link between what America is doing overseas and what it's saying about China and all these things and the elections right now. And I think there is widespread suffering because of the economic crisis. There's no question about it. I mean, if you peel the layers, you'll look at society, homelessness, unemployment. 8.2 is the official figure. If you look at minorities, if you look at certain demographic brackets like fresh graduates, it's 20-25% who are out of college. So there is suffering, and I think Obama, that's the reason obviously why hope is not as bright as it was a few years ago. But still, it's a case about choosing between, choosing the lesser evil between the two in a bi-party system like Americans. So they have no choice. And in many ways, I think Obama is connecting better. What is clear is that he is able to emote better with people who are suffering. Because, even in our politics, remember, Gandhi was not offering as many solutions as he was connecting and emoting with people. He was like a nurse to a suffering nation. And in many ways, I look at Obama that way.
We also see a lot of difference in both these candidates' approach towards defense spending. But, if we just talk about Obama here, it also says that Iraq and Afghanistan has, given huge lessons to United States, and now they know that how, it is important for them to check their defense spending because there were questions raised in US.
It's one more of those many contradictions. Because if you see, the Republicans are supposed to be the deficit hawks, right? They're always talking about fiscal balance, reducing government spending. But even if you go back to Ronald Reagan's time, they notched up a huge, deficit through military spending. So what happens is that the Republicans, if you look at the key constituents in the American economy, all the big industries, finance, pharmaceuticals, insurance, and defense. Defense is, again, the military-industrial complex is firmly behind them. And they are rooting for him, for Romney, in the hope that, this is going to be another hawkish administration that's going to ramp up defense spending come what may. So, again, that's bad politics because the military does not have the votes. The civilians have the votes, right? And at this time, talking of redistribution, one of the transfers that has to happen is to downsize the US military and to bring it back to society which is suffering, into healthcare and education and all this. How is the state going to finance the so-called Obamacare, for example? They have to cut down somewhere. And so I think it's natural to call for it. I think it has majority support of the people, but the establishment we'll be wary of it, of openly saying that we are going to cut down more. But it's the inevitable logic of economic crisis.
And we must also give credit to Obama on his approach towards the internal security, because he also eliminated Osama bin Laden and the strategic defeat of Al-Qaeda, nearing the strategic defeat of Al-Qaeda, increased political and economic pressure on Iran, ended the Iraq war and began shifting US engagement in Afghanistan. He has also renewed the Non-Proliferation Treaty and ratified a new strategic arms treaty with Russia, strengthened the US posture across Asia and his relationship with China. So we must give credit to Obama for all of this.
Russia, China, Israel. I think Obama is far more balanced and is good for those regions. What Romney is saying is we're going to crack down on China, we're going to start a new war with Iran, and we're going to be tough on Russia. The point is, how can you be so hawkish and still be America? America is a liberal state which has to have cooperative relations with major powers.
Right.
And the Romney ticket
but
is
he also failed on several key issues, be it the Middle East peace process or be it the climate change issue, because this completely disappeared from his political agenda.
Yeah, but that shows that America is relatively in decline, and its capacity to be able to affect change and transformation has reduced.
No,
this is not the sole superpower.
This is something which Romney is also saying, that American leadership is in decline.
It's material capacities, it's not about leadership. In fact, if not for Obama, there would be no way America would have even this presence that it has right now with such a declining economy.
Okay, and final comments on the program. I'll start with you, Professor Chaulia, because we are seeing the opinion polls are also saying that Indian Americans are coming in huge support of Obama. We are historically we have always favored a Republican candidate than a Democrat. Do you feel that Indian Americans or even for India, Obama is a better candidate?
Well, it's a hard call, but because one thing that Republicans often do is to focus on China and about countering China more aggressively than what this pivot and rebalancing means. So the previous administration of the Republicans, we were happy somewhat because it looked like we were benefiting from the American pressure on China, and that it was redounding positively to us. But now I think we've grown out of the illusion, and I think now we are much more multipolar in our own vision, and I think the notion that we could be useful to the Americans to counter China, I think we've outgrown that. So I think we are okay with anybody, as long as, see, the point is we have to look beyond individuals and parties about what is the status of America in the world today. If it's a declining great power, in what ways is that beneficial or harmful to India? In some ways it is, it helps us because if it's part of our vision of a multipolar world. On the other hand, it may be negative.
But his stand on jobs, on outsourcing, on IT companies is harming us also.
At the end of the day, I think trade and investment will continue to flourish, and we have now hit $100 billion trade and services together. America is, if you take goods and services together, it's the largest trading partner in the world for us. So I think that will continue. It will continue to flourish. That is where our real interests lie. Outsourcing and all these are like minor things. I mean, if you actually look at the bigger picture.
Right. So if I take your final comment, you are all for Barack Obama, having a second term.
From the point of American people, they need him.
Okay, thanks very much for joining us in this program, and that's all we have for you in this edition of Public Forum. Thanks so much for watching. Namaskar.